What's up? What's up? Welcome back. So, this one is all about how potential is personal. And that's why I have the fuzzy on the microphone, because I'm going to be saying potential a lot and personal a lot. And I'm not trying to like beatbox in your ear where it's just a whole lot of P sounds. Just it's all up in the microphone. So it's not going to sound nice. So I'm taking you into consideration. And I got the fuzzy because I also like using the fork. This whole food for thought thing, and it's very easy to manage. It's not pulling on my shirt. I like it. So back to the topic at hand. Potential. Potential is something that's a very personal thing. And the best analogy I've found to make it easier for me to let go of trying to get other people to actualize their potential is with plants. Personally, I don't know anything about plants and gardening, but I do know some degree of it where depending on the plant, it needs a specific approach in order for it to thrive. You need to know what plant you're dealing with. Some plants would thrive in the shade. Some plants need more sunlight. Some need barely any water. Some need more water, like in the soil, and all these different things. If you don't provide what's needed for that specific plant, it's not going to fulfill its potential of growth and expansion and just thriving in all ways. Same exact thing with people, same exact thing with potential. Potential, you can see the potential in somebody. And this is something that I've done a lot before is trying to like help family and help friends and even help in relationships to get people that I truly deeply care about to fulfill their potential and see what I see within them and get them to like really step into it so they can enjoy the life of living their potential, like really making it a real thing. And there's a few things that really came to light. Some pretty heavy, some were like, damn, which we're going to get into. And also realizing that I wasn't alone in doing that, because sometimes it feels like you're alone carrying the load of this. And I've seen other friends deal with the same thing. And this comes in the realm of, it could be all areas. It could be with friendships. Or you can see a friend that they're really down on themselves and they're wanting more out of life. They're wanting to, really do the things that they wish they could do, but they're just not doing it. And you see the potential within them. You see the things that they're really good at. You see the things that they can really thrive in, that they do better than anybody else. And you see like from the outside, okay, this is what their patterns are. This is how they're getting in their own way. This is how they keep kind of like tripping over the same thing. If I could just get them to just like lift your foot a little higher, right? As an analogy, if I get you to lift your foot just a little higher, you're not going to trip over that thing anymore. And it's going to feel so good to just see you like thrive and continue on. But then what you have to realize is you don't know why they keep tripping over it. You don't know the story that's going on in their head and what they keep thinking or telling themselves. But most importantly, you don't know what they're feeling. And you can know somebody very well. You can know them like the back of your hand, but you still won't know how they feel. Like take the closest person in your life, your parents or whoever is the closest person in your life, and you really, really know them. You still don't know what they're thinking and feeling. You still need a confirmation of, is this what you mean? Is this how you feel? How do you feel about this? So that's something that will always get in the way of helping a friend fulfill their potential, is they have to meet you halfway. If you're the one that's showing up, it's going to start off as a nice gesture because like I said, with the example of like, if you lift your foot just a little higher, you won't trip over this thing and you'll be able to continue on. You could go so much further. It seems like a little thing. And that's how it always starts off. It starts off with a little thing. And with that encouragement, it's very well intentioned. But what happens is when you start doing it too much, sticking with a friend, for example, we're going to go to relationship next. You want the best for your friend, as what feels right, right? Like, hey, I really love this person. I want to see them thrive. It's going to start off that way. But again, you don't know what the story is. So you may help with that example, right, of the foot going higher, but you don't know what the core pattern is. So what's going to happen is, yes, they might go over that obstacle, right, that block, but because they didn't break the pattern or see why it was making sense for them to do it, that's going to reappear in the next step. And then once they go, they're going to do the same thing. And what's going to happen is that niceness within you, that like loving gesture, is going to start to shift towards not resentment right away. It's going to go to annoyance. It's going to feel a little bit annoying of just like, man, like in your mind, you're going to be encouraging, but over time, you're going to be like, man, like I just helped you with this. Like we just went through this. Why do you keep talking down on yourself? Or why do you keep doubting yourself in this way? Like we just showed it's okay. I love you. Like here, just like the previous step, let's just lift your foot a little higher. But again, you don't know what's happening. And when patterns take place, it takes a level of safety, not just with you. It takes a level of safety with oneself, right? To be able to say, I'm blocking myself in this way, right? To be able to talk in a very radically honest way of like owning it to where you're not going to judge yourself for it. And that's like the first layer. And that makes it really hard to open up to people. Because if you feel you're going to receive judgment on it, it's because you're judging yourself about it. So if it doesn't feel safe with you, you're not really going to feel safe to other people, no matter how close they are to you. There's so many times where I saw patterns reappear for me, and I'm just like, I'm not ready to talk about it to other people yet. Because I'm not even ready to like talk to myself about it yet. I need to get to that place first. And when somebody's very well-meaning, trying to get you to fulfill a potential, it's almost like aggravating a cut that's healing. It's it's there. You want to fulfill the potential, but then somebody's like, okay, like, you could do it. And it's just reminding you that you haven't done it. And it gets you to feel like something is wrong with you or you've done something bad. And again, it's just aggravating something that's already tender within you. So on both sides, it starts to create that annoyance. That annoyance starts to be mirrored. And then eventually it'll start to go towards resentment, to where it's like they don't want to hear it from you and you don't want to hear anything about it either. And then it starts to kind of diminish the relationship a bit. And this is, again, within the friendship, because that starts to become like the main topic at hand as to, hey, like, how can we help you do this thing? How can we both show up for you to do the thing that you haven't been able to do? Or like you may be able to hang out, but you can't really hang out without that topic somehow coming up. And it may feel like a weird thing because it's like, one, like we were just really, really good friends. We had so many things in common. Why do we keep coming back to this specific topic? Whether it's you bringing it up or them bringing it up. The reason being is this is honestly where the whole law of attraction comes into play. Because that's when it comes to, when you think about them, when they think about you, that's the lasting impression that you left on each other, is the topic that you both focused on the most. And also the energy behind the exchange of that topic. So it just naturally comes up in a way to where, like, yeah, you might be hanging out, but then eventually you may bring it up without realizing it. You're talking about something else, but that story kind of somehow leads you right back to the thing. Same exact thing with them. And then you're just like, fuck, here we go. Like, we're back talking to the thing. But it's just, again, that's the lasting impression. That's the most practiced frequency, vibration, energy. So I want to shift into the relationship portion, and then we're going to get into the part of being able to let it go, being able to alchemize it. And now for the relationship part, because this is where like it pops up and it's more intense because you're more vulnerable, you're more open, there's way more emotions to it. And the thing about highlighting potential within relationship, there's a tricky thing that takes place to where, I don't want to call it like playing chicken. In a way it kind of is. It's like you're not really calling each other's bluff, but you're knowing you're not going to walk away. Like you're saying that to the other person. You're not going to walk away. You're just as invested in this as I am. And that's where things could be a little toxic. It could be, and it could still be loving, but still be toxic when it comes to the potential of the relationship. Because again, that whole thing of, I can feel the love you have for me. You know the love I have for you. I know the kind of person you are. You know the kind of person I am. So I know you're not going to walk away. And it starts off beautiful at first, because the reason behind it at first is I want you to feel safe with me, and I want you to realize I'm different than everybody else, and I'm not going to leave you. But where that gets tricky is when the shadow aspects start to come up. And yes, love through the shadows. But when it comes to the potential of things, that can keep you sticking around within the dynamic to where the other person's not willing to meet you halfway. And then now you're showing up fully. And they're okay with you not showing up halfway, because same thing as when you're doing that with a friend, although the annoyance is there and it shifts towards resentment over time, there's an emotional crutch you become. It may appear that it's just one side, but there are subtle ways that we're both doing that for each other throughout the relationship. It's just when you're so fixated on your side, you don't see how the other person is also doing it for you. And that's like the tricky thing as well. It's being able to like step out and not get lost within the experience, because emotions make us forget. It also hinders the ability for the potential to take place, because with you unconsciously showing up with the intention of, hey, I see the potential and I'm going to help you bring this to light in both realms, friendship and relationship, the person starts to expect that from you. And not from a sense of laziness, not from a sense of like taking advantage of you. It's just how you've been showing up the whole time. So it kind of just becomes equated with you. You took on the role. And it's something where you get to see like, okay, there's the savior complex to look at, which I'm going to do a whole other video about that. But there's the whole savior complex of wanting to help somebody, save somebody, and get them to see everything that they can be. But the thing is, again, they just kind of translate that to, oh, that's just your thing. That's just how you show up. That's just how you like to show up. They didn't ask you to do it. And even that, hearing that could be like, almost like, what the fuck you mean? You didn't ask me. Yeah, you didn't ask me, but I did it out of the kindness of my heart. And it gets you kind of like, sometimes it can bring that defensiveness of just like, all right, you ain't asked for that either. So, keep your hands to yourself. Don't hit them. Hit a pillow. It's true though, and it sucks. Oh my God, the times that I heard that, what I wanted to kick people so hard. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you didn't tell me? Oh my God. But it's true. It's true. And when you start to realize, fuck, damn it, they're right. They did not ask me. And it gets you to like look at yourself, which is going to be the third thing. So it's the friendship, relationship, and I'm going to bring it back to us as to why this is taking place. And I'm going to let you know that's just going to sting a little bit. So get ready. The same way the friendship kind of tarnishes to a way where you forget the things you had in common because the relationship becomes this whole like almost like a group project of how we can get you to fulfill your potential, which makes you feel like there's something to fix, or the relationship becomes the same thing. How can we now, instead of enjoying spending time together, there's again now this group project of like, how can we make the relationship better? How can we have better communication? All the fixation becomes on the thing that needs to be better. And say, okay, how can we fulfill the potential of the relationship? Because we keep arguing about the same thing. Again, though, just like with the friend, notice that you keep coming back. It's not even so much the topic, though. All right, you do keep coming back to the same topic, but notice you keep coming back to the same feeling. It's the same feeling that's being practiced between both of you. And it's something I got to experience in my previous relationship. And even in the situationship before that. That's pretty much it. It was a relationship. But I'll call it for what it is. It was a situationship. That's really what it kept coming back to. It was the same feeling. And as you notice that, it's like, okay, what it is, it's, let's say, happiness. You're experiencing happiness with this person, and it probably gets up to, like, in speaking of momentum, like 20 miles per hour. But the constant dynamic between you two is being fixated on the potential of the relationship, the potential of things being different, right? That's the potential. It's things being different, things being better than how they are now, the person being different, the relationship being different. So the potential of them showing up different. And keep in mind, they're wanting the same thing for you. And again, it gets tough to see because when you're in it, you're in it. So that has its own momentum of like 120 miles per hour, which can have a feeling of like frustration, anger, annoyance, defensiveness, and whatever else you feel, hurt, pain, right? Usually it's really what that kind of simplifies down to. It's hurt and pain and fear, because you also don't want the other person to leave, although you're calling out their bluff and saying like, I know you're not going to leave, so I could throw my tantrum, I could say whatever I want, I could be hurtful, but I know you're going to come back because you've always been this crutch for me. Again, that's where it gets dangerous, because that's not beneficial. Nobody should feel that way. On the other side of that, I'm saying, with that being at 120 miles per hour, you can feel like there's no gradual jump. It's like if you touch any emotion that's within that 120 mile per hour range, that's literally the 0 to 100. It's like, and that's why when you touch on the topic, anywhere near the topic, your emotional state changes like that. And it's easy to just like, oh, now we're back again and we're arguing about the same thing. Everything was just going good. Yeah, because the momentum of that last exchange between you two was left up here. Because of the interactions being practiced of those feelings, you're just feeling like where you essentially left the relationship off at. The tough thing is that feeling, you start to now identify your partner with that feeling. And once that starts to happen, the resentment really starts to set in. And that's where people do things to like give themselves permission or a reason to end the relationship. That could be in the form of cheating. That could be constant arguments. Yeah, the relationship is a shared experience, but potential is personal, because you know what your blocks are. You know what you're thinking. You know how you're feeling about things. And most importantly, you know why. You don't have to really explain anything to you. you get you. The other person doesn't get you. Same thing with your friend. And that's why, in order for a potential to be fulfilled, if you're helping somebody with it, they have to meet you halfway. When it comes to a relationship, the relationship isn't necessarily 50-50, like as far as how the dynamics go, because, oh, got a burp. What do people say? Confirmation burp. That was just a burp. In the dynamic, yeah, it's gonna vary. There's gonna be times you show up at 90. They're gonna have 10%, depending on how the day goes. Yeah, that varies. When it comes to the potential of the relationship, that's 50-50. 100%. Because you show up seeing the potential of the relationship, and they have to meet you halfway. And what that looks like is communication. Communicating what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And having that same sense of vulnerability with yourself. So you have your potential for the relationship with you in regards to this relationship. And then you're able to now bring that same, okay, I have this clarity within me. I can now bring that clarity to the relationship. And they have to do the same thing. If not, there's going to be a whole lot of assumption. What broke me out of assuming is, people try to use different sayings like assuming, makes an ass out of you and me. That really didn't stick with me until there's times when I did assume before and I saw how destructive it was. And I was like, oh, I never want to do this again. I'd rather deal with the discomfort of being honest and saying how I'm thinking and what I'm feeling in the moment, and open to being wrong, because it can be uncomfortable to be wrong, but I changed my relationship to I prefer to be wrong about something and say hey, this is what I'm thinking, I'm feeling, I just want to share it, I don't know if I'm right about it, versus assuming what I'm thinking and saying is right. And what got me to make that switch is assumption leads to destruction. Especially, just in all realms, but especially in relationships. And if that communication isn't there, that potential isn't going to thrive. You're not giving it the right things necessary as you would give to a plant, right, for it to thrive. You're not providing the right environment. So, yeah, for the potential to go, it requires that communication. It requires that openness, which again is tied to that level of safety, that you can say things of how you're feeling, but there's not going to be judgment. But again, you have to have that clarity within you that you're not going to judge you for it. So by the time you do have the conversation, you don't have to be concerned about the emotional charge because you got clear with you about it. And now you bring it towards your partner for further clarity. So now both of you can be clear and on the same page. Without that, then, it's not going to have the right atmosphere for the relationship to thrive. And the blocks that get in the way are only going to get amplified. But with that communication, you'll be able to understand each other more because now you're communicating how you're feeling and what you're thinking. And what happens a lot within relationships, and you'll see this with everybody now, once you hear this, when we can't communicate how we feel, the next best thing we can resort to is, I'm going to get you to feel how I feel. Because once you do, now you get me. Now you understand me. So an example of that is, let's say you say something to hurt my feelings. Please don't. I love you. Comment beautiful things. So let's have a conversation. Let's get back to it. Let's say you say something to hurt my feelings. And I don't know how to articulate that you hurt my feelings. Or maybe I'm even afraid to because I don't want to be made fun of and I don't even know how to communicate that. So instead of saying, you hurt my feelings or communicating that, the next best thing I could do is say something equally as hurtful or more, depending on how I'm feeling, to hurt your feelings. Once I do, and you display pain, anger, frustration like I got to you, now I feel better. Not because I got to you, but because now you're displaying the emotions that I'm feeling. Now you understand me, right? That's really why we do that. That's why hurt people. It's not really to hurt them. That's the only way that they know how to express how they're feeling. So once you get that, it's like, okay, when it comes to the relationship, or with everybody, but especially with the relationship, let me get clear on how I'm feeling. And allow that to be safe with me to where I could just say it like flat out, where I'm not talking around it. I'm not trying to save face and still be cool. No, I feel hurt. I feel hurt. I feel like you don't care about me or the relationship anymore. Just really, really, really raw. And like, as you say those things, you're going to feel emotions and things come up, and you're going to feel like tension and all these thoughts. That's all the stuff to clear up. Because then now when you talk to your partner, now they get you. Now they are able to have more clarity with you. And then they get to do the same thing with you. Now you just created the atmosphere, the environment, the ecosystem that allows the relationship to prosper and thrive. So when it comes to the friendship, when you realize potential is a personal thing, because you have to be clear on why you're blocking yourself, right, for your own potential. Then you get to understand, okay, that's something for them to get clear on, and it changes your approach. Now, in addition to like trying to help them and like bring it to light, you can just have conversations with them about like what are they thinking, and just getting them to open the door as to like just curiosity. Or, right, and this is a much simpler one, it's being able to step back. Step back. Because what's actually happening when it comes to potential, the reason why it's so much easier, and this is tied to the whole savior complex, the reason why it's so much easier to put so much energy and focus on helping people fulfill their potential is it feels harder to fulfill yours. That's the shit that's like, well, fuck. And when I realized that, I was like, damn. And it's a way of like, I wanted, when I was doing it, right? Circling back to me, I was wanting them to show up for me the same way I was showing up for them. And although my intentions were pure, deep down, that's what I wanted. And I got to see the reason why I would get so worked up. I'm wanting me to show up for me in that same exact way, and I'm not doing it. I'm making this person way more important. I'm putting so much focus, attention, and energy. And when I'm just like thinking to myself, if you listen to me, like you would fulfill your potential. You'll be able to do it. I'm looking at me, right? Like my soul, my Mike is looking at me like, motherfucker, you too. If you give me all this focus, attention, and energy, why am I not worthy of you doing that for me? That's really layers deeper as to like why it's taken so personal when somebody's not fulfilling their potential, even though you're giving so much of your energy to them. And you're like, it's fucking here, bro. It's here. You don't have to look for it. I found it for you. Take it. Take this shit. And they're like, no. You're like, what you mean, though? So it's reflecting that to you. It's the way life enjoys tapping into that mirror effect. When you remember, okay, potential is personal because you're not meant to be the one to fulfill it. They are. That's what allows you to take the step back, because you also have to remember who you're friends with. As you remember who you are, right? Remember, because what allows you to fulfill your potential is remembering who you are and all aspects of you, which then taps into unconditional love, self-trust, and all these things. You also have to remember who your friend is. And remember that you're friends with this person for a reason. There's a lot of similarities, things that you enjoy, things that you love about this person. And if you're the one constantly showing up to try to get them to fulfill their potential, in a way, without realizing it, you're doubting them. You're doubting that they have the strength to do it. And you're amplifying the doubt that they're feeling within themselves. That's why it's really not going anywhere. So, and that's why it's important to create the space for them to be able to show up. And in remembering, you know what, this is my fucking friend. They got this. Your attention on them now shifts from those interactions being at 120 miles per hour. The reason that starts to slow down is because your attention now gets fixated on the highest version of themselves, like the badass, bad bitch energy, like biggest, best versions of them. And without you saying anything, you're hyping them up. You're like, you got this shit. You got this shit. Even though they're like beating themselves down, you're like, you don't have to say much. You could say like a word or two, or even say nothing. Just be like, you good. You got this. And sometimes like that could just be enough. That could be all they needed in that moment. It's just like, you got this. You good. And they're like, yo, you know what? You're right. I forgot. And what happens is you're not as invested. You're invested in the way where like you're giving them energy without them even realizing that you're doing it, and like from a space of overflow. Whereas in trying to get them to see the potential, you're depleting yourself. Because when you think highly of somebody, it feels good to do it. So like you're filling yourself up because you're reminding yourself of the kind of people you surround yourself with. And you're like, bro, like we're friends. Just with being friends, like we're in the winner circle. I'm feeling good about me, and you got this. You're good. You're good. I'm waiting to celebrate you. It's going to be so dope. And you step back and you give them space. And within that space, you have to be okay, though. You have to be okay with the possibilities. And there's two possibilities. One, where they do fulfill the potential. Or the second, where they don't. And if you focus on fulfilling your potential, then you just stay on track, going down your path, and you increase speed, right? It's like a journey of both of you are walking along the same path or flowing down the river. And if you're focused on your potential, your life, you were once holding onto a rock with them, and you let go, and you flow. And you could just look at them like, I know you're going to let that rock go. And when you let that rock go, we're going to be vibing, chilling down this lazy river, talking about how awesome and enjoyable life is. And you have to be okay with the possibility that they might not let it go. I guess to be okay too. Because if you try to, like, envision it, that's why, like, for me, I think about analogies that, like, give me a clear picture. If you let go, you see that they don't let go. And now you try to like paddle your way back against, again, a flowing, lazy river. But now if you're paddling your way against it, that's exhausting. And you're trying to now go back to the rock that you just let go of, because you realize when you were holding on to the rock, water was splashing in your face and making you exhausted, partially drowning you. Nothing was enjoyable about it. And now you're like going back to it. And life is just like, nah. And you just have to be okay with both. And just know, like, okay, like, when they let go, I'll see them. I'll celebrate. It may not be now. It may be a couple weeks, couple months, couple years, but they'll do it. They'll do it. And you'll no longer hold yourself back. Because that's what leads to resentment. That will shift the annoyance to resentment. And that is so much worse than just stepping back, because now you shift from loving somebody to like kind of hating them. And that's like a heartbreaking thing to do. In the moment, it's like, no, fuck this person. I'm tired of their shit. I've done so much. And they're so ungrateful. But it's not worth it. It's not worth it to hate somebody that you once loved. Because think of like the beauty that you experienced in loving that person. You saw the beautiful soul that you knew, that you saw the beautiful soul within them. And to let that tarnish to like that sense of like, again, resentment, there's a pain in the heart behind that. To where if you just love that person and just know like, hey, they're on their own path. They will get there. You don't have to know when. But at least there's still that awesome person you've known them to be. The person that you love. Which feels so beautiful for you. So I see it as like a win-win. And I think it's so much better to have that deal of love. Even hearing, and we'll land with this, even in hearing people talk about like respect, that was something I was very big on before, of like, I demanded respect. That was like a big thing, especially like growing up in the Bronx at the time that I did. But cutting people off from a space of resentment leaves like a painful void in one's heart. And I'm not saying not to cut people off. I've cut a lot of people off. But I did so from a space of releasing with love. I started to transition from like cutting off, like, Sometimes it feels good to do that. But again, there's like that painful void to where it's like, yeah, whatever they're physically doing now may suck. But the version of them that I love, it's like, till next time. You know, I'll see you soon. Wishing you the best. That feels so much better. That's what I like to do. That's what I shifted to. Because I care more about feeling good than finding any reason to feel right about displaying that hatred. That's not a good feeling. It may feel good in the moment because you're displaying anger. And that's going to be a whole other video. So anger's purpose is to get you to express the power you thought you once lacked. That's what feels good about it. But long lasting, no, you're not meant to stay in that emotion of anger. If you do, that's when it shifts to hatred. And again, it's just because your last thought of that person is in that 120 mile per hour range. And you just got to slow that down and shift to what version of them do you want to focus on. But this was good. This was really good. I like this. One, I like doing the videos here now. The lighting is way better. I like doing it in my meditation chair, but you have more background here. You have a window, titles, picture. I got lights here. You can see me better. My leg's falling asleep, but this was awesome. Glad you're here. If you stuck here the whole time, let's do a dragon emoji. Do a dragon emoji. Whether you do the face or like this, the whole dragon, just do a dragon emoji. That'd be pretty dope. So yeah, do a dragon emoji. I'm going to figure out which video I'm going to do. Might be anger. I'll check back to see what was the other topic that came to mind. If you have a topic that you want to drop in about, send it. I'll do a video about that. If you got questions, I'll do a video to answer to your questions. So, wishing you an amazing day. If it's night by you, wishing you an amazing night. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you later.